In this episode of Talk Latin America, we welcome Cristina Tardaguila, founder of Lupa, the first news agency in Brazil dedicated to systematically and continuously fact-checking information circulating in the country. Latin America right now is living in a storm of dis and misinformation. How hard is it to cope with that? And does it have a cost on you personally?
100%. Fact-checking is a frontline service, and it's not only necessary, but it has a very big personal cost. And I moved my entire family to the United States because of it, because I really wanted to keep doing it, and I just thought I couldn't do it safely in Rio de Janeiro anymore. In 2018, we were 15 people, and 6 of them had received threats, real threats. Something that scares me to death is the use of AI in scams. Financial scams. Those are getting very, very good. It's becoming very, very common to get journalists who are anchors becoming the source of deepfakes to use the credibility that you guys have from the positions and that your job that you have to sell products or to get people to engage with phishing systems and scams and all that.
Welcome to another episode of Talk Latin America. This is Michelle Mariño, our Latin America desk head here at CGTN America.
And this is Diego Laje.
I'm a CGTN anchor here, trying to anchor the news, but not always quite succeeding. And today we have
Cristina Tardaguila.
Yes.
Here I am. Hello, everyone.
Cristina, it's great having you. Cristina, Latin America right now is living in a storm of dis and misinformation. How hard is it to cope with that? And does it have a cost on you personally?
100%. I mean, we're talking from Washington, D.C., and I've been living here since I was threatened to death. So fact-checking in Brazil has become something extremely dangerous. Our team back in 2018, when you probably know, took place the presidential election between Fernando Haddad from the left and Jair Bolsonaro from the right. From that year on, we understood that fact-checking is a frontline service, and it's not only necessary, but it has a very big personal cost. And I moved my entire family to the United States because of it, because I really wanted to keep doing it, and I just thought I couldn't do it safely in Rio de Janeiro anymore. And I kind of regret that I couldn't move my entire team. In 2018, we were 15 people, and 6 of them had received threats, real threats. Thanks God, nothing happened until today. Actually, it served us to create a very strict policy on how to protect fact checkers in our company, and this has been treated as a benchmark in the industry, and things have gotten better. But to your question, to your point, yes, 100%, it is really, really tough to do what we do.
Do you remember the first time that you debunked fake news?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in Lupa. The first time I started fact-checking, actually, and Diego is going to laugh at this, it was because Chequeado in Argentina was doing a great work, and I met them at a very interesting festival that takes place in Colombia, the Gabo Festival, the Gabriel Garcia Marquez Festival, Journalism Festival, and I met the work done by Chequeado, and I said, wow, this is amazing. This was back in 2013. I was, at that time, a assistant to the editor at the political section of O Globo, the newspaper, the largest newspaper in Rio at that time. And when I came back from Colombia, we were trying to imagine what we could do for the 2014 presidential election in Brazil that would be interesting and uncommon and revealing. And I said, you know what? I met these people, these Argentinians, and they're doing this great thing. So the first time I did fact checking was at O Globo newspaper in a very tiny blog that was called Preto no Branco, which means, a bad translation would be black over white, which means clarity, right? And the first night that I posted a fact check was in that blog. And it was quite interesting because we fact checked. We didn't have a team. We were like internal freelancers at the newspaper. And each one of us had one fact check, one for each presidential candidate that ran the 2014 elections. And I was so nervous that I clearly remember my daughter was a baby and I was in her room. It was 6 a.m. in the morning and I clicked post it. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this country going to say? Because we were giving falses and exaggerated claims to Aécio Neves, which was the not far right, but the rightist candidate. We were giving Marina Silva, she was a leftist center name, another exaggerated, and to Dilma Rousseff, who got elected that year as a leftist candidate, also a false. So it was very, very like a moment in time. I cannot forget that.
Do you fact check when you talk to people, like regular people?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Ooh. My mom would answer this very, very in a very interesting way. My mom, the other day, I left her a note saying, "Mom, we went to the restaurant. We are all sorry, let me rephrase this. I'm trying to translate it as I say. She left me a note saying, Chris, everybody's in the mall. And I messaged her saying, everybody? Everybody. Really, the entire planet. And she's like, stop fact checking me.
Sorry, I'm with your mom.
Yeah, I can be a pain. I know. Yeah. I mean, there's so many situations like that. I'm like, oh, aren't you exaggerating a bit? But it's like my entire family is full of teachers. So when you are with teachers, they repeat everything they say. So they make sure you understood what they're saying. That's like a job mania, right? But fact checkers is like, where did that come from? What is your source? So that becomes like a thing. So you have to control.
And it's getting more difficult, I think, of the fact-checking situation because with AI,
Yeah.
it's some video. They are so they're incredible that even I'm a journalist. I can fact check, but sometimes for me it's like, is it real?
Yeah.
So I have to fact check because I mean AI is getting so
There's
good.
a very good discussion regarding what does true mean. It's really philosophical and fact checkers love that. But to your point, videos that are made by AI, they are real, but they don't show reality of the offline planet. It's a new thing created and it's real. It does exist, right? So you cannot say it's true.
But
But
can
it
you place
doesn't.
it with fiction?
Of course. Yeah.
And
I
that's
mean,
it. It's
yeah.
it's real. Fiction is real, but it's
Exactly.
not true.
Exactly. There you go. So we have to, but this is like a semantic thing that I bet people out there don't understand. The difference between real and truth is really hard to explain for regular
Oh,
audience.
it's a philosophical
Exactly.
question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But to your point, one thing that I really like to highlight here, if I may, is there is a little bit of misconception regarding the impact of AI in disinformation. So again, as a fact checker, let me bring some data. So we've done some studies. We gathered the data of all fact checks published by all accredited fact checkers in the world during 2023 and 2024. And we tracked all fact checks that mentioned AI or deepfakes or anything related to AI. And we were clearly surprised. We got 592 fact checks that pointed out something made by AI in an entire year. If you divide that by that, it comes to like one or two a day in the entire planet. And
It's nothing.
nothing.
That's what you mean.
Nothing. And the impact of those lies, falsehoods, are zero.
Something I find interesting, but it's something I see online, is that the AI generated material that viralizes best tends to be comedic. not seeking to pass as hard news, but seeking to pass as some politician making some outrageous statement, or a baby politician, or something like that.
Right. You're completely right when you think politics. But something that scares me to death is the use of AI in scams, financial scams. Those are getting very, very good. We just launched a very interesting, and I honestly would love to share more data on this because we're diving in. Scams in Brazil are growing faster and faster. Electronic payments are being, they're under attack by President Trump right now, Pix. And so we spend a lot of time diving into the disinformation that is connected to economic falsehoods and scams. In that field, Diego, yes, that in that field, AI is playing a big role. For example, we are using, and you should be aware because you guys are anchors, it's becoming very, very common to get journalists who are anchors becoming the source of deepfakes to use the credibility that you guys have from the positions and that your job that you have to sell products or to get people to engage with phishing systems and scams and all that. So when we're talking about political fact checking, very little changes. You're right. But when it comes to economical lies and scams, oof, that's not true.
Social engineering.
Totally. Yeah. Socially engineering, fooling people to either offer your personal data, engage with forms and or offer actually big discounts that are non-existent, and which drives me very, very sad is the job opportunities that are fake. So people are spending time applying to jobs that do not exist.
Oh, God.
When it's actually phishing. I mean, our work, our study in scams is like, it's an eye opener, and I hope that leads even stakeholders in the branches of power to actually do stuff because it's increasing fast.
So Lupa touches it too.
Yes.
Oh,
we have
okay.
a website that's called, well, it's in Portuguese, of course, Será que é golpe, which is it fraud.com.br, and we collect every single piece of scam that we can track, and then based on everything we've done, we are producing reports out of it and sharing with big stakeholders.
This is so important because scams in Brazil, it's like I think
It's
Argentina
a
too, right?
billion-dollar industry around the world. There are farms in different parts of the world that have permissive rules for these behaviors, and AI empowers those who don't speak your language to sound convincingly good in whichever language you speak in. That these are facts, and you can check them.
Exactly. Just think a little bit about the development of the disinformation, right? How it has changed. Once back in 1990, people in the United States created fact checking, as we know, claim false, true, exaggerated, and why, right? And then time passes and we understand that disinformation now is a political tool. And we got people elected, we got people fooled, voters thinking whatever, right? But then the next step, which is the one we're talking about here, is that using this information to get money faster. Because of course you can use this information to elect your politician because you might profit from his or her position, and you might be close, or you might have a company that will profit from his or her ideas. Fine. But it's a lot faster to use this information to fool people in their pockets, right? This is the next step of this information. And this is all over Latin America. We just had in Rio, Latam Chequea, which is the regional meeting of fact checkers. We're about 40 organizations in the region. And this is something that we all share. Like, we are, of course, we're still super worried about anti-democratic lies, anti-election ideas, well, hoaxes about vaccines, hoaxes about everything, climate change. But hey, we're talking about big scams, and we're talking about bunkers of people who have understood that, well, you can always help a political ideology, but for you to profit, it will take longer than if you just move on to getting people's data and credit card numbers. So wow.
If you had to go to a past event in history, what kind of event or something that happened in the past that you would like to fact check? Because we didn't
Good question.
we didn't have this before, right? So things happened without someone fact check.
There's, I mean, many. I'm trying to think. The other day I saw some Instagram accounts that they do a very interesting. They use AI to recreate Moses opening the sea.
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
It's Brazilians. They go crazy when they do AI, right? So
Yeah.
there's several pages on Instagram right now that they use AI. It's like Jesus commenting the situation, and there's this thing on we're Latinos. We know that religion plays a really big role, and when I see these things, like could I fact check the Bible? That could have been interesting. I mean, how did Moses really open the sea?
Well, I can add to you, there's a study about it. There are studies about it. And you can fact check the Bible because people already started fact checking it
Really? Where?
and comparing it to the register, but to the archaeological register.
Oh wow.
So they're doing archaeology around the Bible. For example, they discovered the tomb of Joseph,
There you go.
amongst other things. And they also fact-checked the opening up of the Red Sea, which would coincide with a tidal event around the same time. Of course, not splitting the sea, but
course, but
creating a
we did
tidal
see-
event. There's a lot of that.
What would be the one that you would like to fact check?
I uh,
Ooh,
so
you're
many. But first is I would have loved to sit down and fact check many claims around calls to war throughout history, things that allegedly happened. But I want to go back to you because you
Sure.
fact check every day.
I know, crazy,
Um,
right?
Do you have you developed an instinct for fact checking? Do you
Yeah.
see someone and what do you see? What do you observe? What do you learn?
There's a saying in Portuguese, a pulga atrás da orelha. How do we translate that? Oh, that's impossible, I think.
Yeah.
You develop like your ear, you kind of like, there are a few expressions that are almost always false.
Shoot. Which?
For example, the largest on earth. This is the biggest whatever. This is the smallest whatever.
And this
is
is
the
something
most
the
important-
Brazilians do a lot, right? We are famous in Latin America because we do that all this time.
So can you imagine how many times a Latino politician says this? We are living the biggest crisis. Come on.
Oh,
And people believe it, and people vote for him because he's gonna solve the biggest crisis. I mean, come on, you cannot measure that. So everything that uses that kind of construction, you're like, yeah, that needs to be fact checked. There's a methodology, Diego. Like that you kind of learn, like and there's also some people learning how to dodge fact checkers, and I'm gonna give them a tip.
oh.
Yeah. If
Speak.
if you're a politician, you go like, I built about 10 houses. The about kills the fact checkers.
No, it's true.
Maybe you build 12, maybe you build 7. But you want to say about, boom, fact checkers can't do anything. I mean, they could do an explainer, but they're not going to give you like a label, right? So, yeah, it's really fun to if our team right now, every time we have a TV debate between candidates, like for anything, right? So we already laugh like, okay, there we go. The biggest whatever, the smallest whatever, the tiniest whatever, the most whatever. Yes.
You know what? I can only imagine your daughter. Like, can you imagine like telling you something? Because how old is she?
She's 16.
She's 16, so teenager.
Oh yeah. She said she's afraid of me because of beat. Well, I'm just 5'2", very short.
Yes, but it's not about the size.
I hope. But she's very scared. She's like, I'm not going to send you ever a reel so you can watch, because you always reply saying, this is fake, my daughter. Like, yeah, I mean, don't send it. Don't share with me things that I will go back to and say false, because I will. So she's afraid of me. She doesn't share stuff on Instagram with me.
Cristina Tardaguila, we have reached the very real end of this
Oh,
conversation.
there you go. I'm going to fact check
unfortunately.
you.
Yes, it is very real. I can assure you this conversation ends here.
It's true, not real.
I've,
Or both.
I know conversations.
We are
I've
about to finish.
Yes,
We're about to. So that
we're about to finish. Well done. You're a much better politician than I am. And you are, well, first, Cristina Tardaguila, thank you very much. Great
Thank
having
you. It's fantastic to be here, Diego, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
thank you.
And you are Michelle Marino the Great, our Latin America head at our news desk here in Washington, D.C.
And he's Diego Laque, our anchor
Yeah.
from Argentina.
Of course. No other place. That's what makes me great, and not again.
Amazing. So Argentinian.
Right?
Thank you for joining this episode of Talk Latin America. See you next time.